Hey folks, Jonathan here. I want to get started on doing a little work on this, on the cases for the motorcycle. You can still see some rough on this. I smoothed most of it out, and it actually smooths out really easy. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and do some of the machining on it. But I'm going to get the whole case pretty smooth. I'm not going to polish it or anything. Once I get it smooth, I can actually put some oven cleaner or something on it and make it darken up a little bit. I want to make it look sort of like it's old, but still, nice and clean. So, but anyway, bear with me on that. One thing, I'm going to start by, you got to have a flat surface somewhere, some kind to start with. And I believe what we're going to do is go ahead and hold this down, and we're going to start here. And I'm going to go ahead and mill this surface off. And I'm not going to mill it any farther than I have to straighten it up, because we may, may go too far, and I don't want to do that. But one thing I wanted to tell you, I don't have a fly cutter of any kind, and so I'm stuck using end mills for doing any kind of surface work. And I don't have, as of yet, a boring bar or a boring head for a R8, because I haven't had this machine long, and all the old Gorton had actually was a Brown & Sharp taper number 10, and I was actually doing a little shimming, and I machined this down, but I was doing a little shimming. This is actually an MT4, a Morse taper 4. So I was wrapping a sheet of copper around this and putting it up in, and then pulling it up with the drawbar. And I was using that in that machine, even though it wasn't right for it. And so I've got to get some R8 tooling. All I've been able to buy so far was all the collet set. So and I'm not rich by any means. I just work hard to make what money I do have, but so I can't just run out sometimes and just go buy a bunch of stuff. So it might take me a little time. I think I can buy this piece. I think this unscrews if I remember right, and I can keep this head. And but anyway, and I'm going to try to get something maybe for a fly cutter setup. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get done what we can get done. And I've got to order the bearings for the crankshaft too. I'm debating on whether to just match up bearings, in other words, measure it and go get some at the hardware or the industrial supply, or if I'm going to just order them for a Yamaha 250. I'm not sure what to do yet on that. I'm only going to run a seal on one side. It's going to be on this side. The other side won't have a seal. It'll actually, let the oil go into the cam, and inside of the cam carrier, I guess you can call it. So anyway, I'm going to see if I can get this clamped down. At least get this surface machine so we can see what we're looking at, and what this stuff's going to look like when it's machined down. All right. Alright, we got our clamp down, getting ready to start on it here. One thing to remember, I don't want nobody to forget, is I'm not a machinist. So I just do what I can do. So don't be too hard on me when you see me do stupid stuff. Alright, you get at it. Okay folks, I changed the cutter out. I put a 2-flute cutter, and actually ran it back and forth, just barely put it down any. Then I went back the other way, and now it's as smooth as you can get. I don't feel anything whatsoever. I know you can see the machining marks, but it's good. So I'm going to go with that, and we're going to try to get it, like I said, drill one hole in it and run a bolt through it, and we're going to tighten it down. We're just going to see how it feels. But we're not trying to machine to size. We're just trying to straighten it up some. Now I just realized another thing I really need to get. I don't know what to order first, but I need to get a coaxial indicator too, so I can indicate these holes in right without, being off. I don't have a good setup for doing that, so anyway, we'll keep at it. I'll order some stuff if I need to, and just don't tell my wife. All right. Okay, we've located center. Getting ready to drill a hole through it, and I'm just going to go, it's a little over half, and then we're going to flip it and see if we can bolt it down so we can surface that other side. And again, this is smooth. You can see the marks, but you can't feel them. I'm sure the machinists understand that, but if you're not a machinist, I could see where you would think it would be rough as a cob, but it's not. All right, let me drill it real quick. I know I don't have a center bit in there, but I think with the aluminum, I'm just going to use it down. I think it'll be just fine. All right, let me see if I can get this done. Okay, folks, holes drilled. I'm going to show you what I use to find center with this. I don't have a coaxial indicator, so I'm going to get one before it's over with. But this is what I use. It's 3/8, 53/8 collet in, put it in, and then spin it around. And basically, I just went to the edge of it all the way around, and found center, and then I locked my table, and then drilled it, and it drilled good. Looks like about 3/4 of an inch thick, and which is just perfect. And well, I say it's perfect, but good enough for me. I think we can work with it. But I'm gonna flip this thing and see if I can mount it. It's a little high here than what it is here. I'll mount it flat on the table, so I may have to let part of it hang off the front and see if that gives us enough room to be able to machine the whole surface back here. If it don't, we'll figure out a way of blocking it up. I just want it to be perfectly, flat with the other side. And I know we'll probably get somebody to say, well, this is not a big area. You're machining out here on this side. But the thing is this thing is solid as a rock. And I'll show everybody while I'm machining it. I don't think there's going to be any kind of chatter or anything. Plus, we're not going to take much off. We're just going to ease around it and go ahead and get it surfaced up. I'm going to do both sides like that, and then I will, my bearings hopefully will be in for the crank, and I can start actually doing some measuring and, getting some stuff figured out on. All right. Okay. Get this drill bit out and get an end mill back in. This is going to work really good. I didn't think I was going to be able to go in far enough to be able to get this side because I'm so far forward on my table, but it's going to work fine, and that's not going to move. That's one solid chunk for sure. Okay, let me get the machining this and see if we can get some kind of surface. I know this one's not flat. I actually had to shim the bottom when I had it turned over so it would sit right, so I could machine the other flat. So we'll take care of that problem right now. All right. Okay, we got this side done, and it worked out really good bolting it down. It's nice and solid. And this side, as you can see, I went both ways on it. But worst comes to worst, we can lap this in. Big piece of sandpaper, and I've actually got a setup block that I can use and lap it. A lot of times I'll use the table on my vertical bandsaw, but this will work. This is no problem. And let me see. I was going, and I still may do it. I've got a couple options. Some of the bikes, all of them didn't have this, but some of the bikes had a piece around it that when you put them together, it centered this up. But I've got one or two ways I can do it. I can go between. I wanted to have 2 bolts on each end for the mount, to mount the engine. I can go in between the two with a dowel pin and go through both cases,
to line it, or I can go with a hollow dowel pin and through the bolt hole, and just go part of the way down and actually run the bolt through the center of the dowel pin. I sort of like the standalone dowel pin better, and what I'll probably do is find something that's got a couple of dowel pins in it and steal them out of it. Something that, you know, not as big as like a small block Chevrolet, but that style to where it's tapered on each end. And that's probably what I'll do, is I'll go ahead and see if I can snatch a couple out of something. I'm sure I've got something that's got some in it laying around. Some of the clutches used them, or the actual pressure plate where it went up on the bigger trucks before you put the bolts in. I will, a couple of them would probably do good, and I'm sure I've got an equipment flywheel or something around here that's got it. But anyway, I'll hunt a couple of them up, and that's, like I said, what we're going to do for holding it together. You're holding it, you know, where it needs to be, and then we're going to get the other side machined, and once we get it done, we can clamp them together, go ahead and drill our holes, get our dowel pins in, and we've got to set our distance inside, you know, how much I'm going to have to take off of these. So what we really need is the bearings on the crankshaft, and so I can get a good accurate measurement, and just start doing some measuring. This side, of course, is going to, the bearing will press in the center, the seal will press on the outside, so of course there'll be it'll be smaller here, you know, so the bearing don't come all the way up through. And then the other side, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to bore it all the way through, and then I'll make a retainer that'll actually go in with flathead screws, or not flathead screws, but countersink screws behind the cam, and that way I can actually set the shim on the crankshaft. You know, I can set it by how much I machine off of here, but to me, I think it would be a lot better if we put it in, you know, sort of got the crankshaft all the way to this side, and then we'll do the measurement on it and make a plate that'll go on the other side and go in and shim it over this way, because there's not going to be a seal on the other side, so it really don't matter. And then it'll work out better for me. Less chance of me screwing it up on the measurements, but also I think it will hold up really good. And as for the rod, of course, you know, we want it centered in the cylinder as close as we can get it, but that's not super critical. We used to offset rods all the time, run them from, you know, over to one side of the piston. Of course, now we're going to try to get it centered. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that, you know, if we're a little bit off or something, it's not really going to hurt a thing. But we're moving along, and I'm going to go ahead and get the other half up here and machine. I think we'll weigh the half first before I machine that other one. I'm not going to weigh this one because I've already machined on it, but I'll weigh the other one. We'll see what the weight is on. Okay, you're stuck with an old set of scales. I think the last patent date on these are 1906, but they do work good. And International Business Machine Corp. But anyway, these are probably old scales for weighing seed at a hardware store or something like that. But they work good. They come back to zero every time. And of course we got pounds. These only go to 5 pounds, so I hope it's not more than 5. We'll start with the first one we casted. 4 pounds, 2.5 ounces. Or looks like a little closer to 3, so we'll say 4 pounds, 3 ounces on that one. Okay, folks, I ran into one spot of porosity, I guess is what it's called. But anyway, it's a little void in there. I machined quite a bit of this off, and I've done that because I was chasing it, wanted to make sure that it was nothing that was going to be a problem. And from what I can tell so far, that's the only thing I've been able to find. And there's a really easy fix for this. What you do is you take a 20-pound hammer and you hit it about right here, and you make it small enough to fit back into the crucible, and you melt it down and you pour it again, and which is always an option. So I don't have a problem with that. But I was cleaning up on it a little bit. I went ahead and machined in here. You know, it's hard to do a circle with a milling machine, so I mean we'll do a little bit more cleaning up. But I just wanted to go ahead and get what I could get done, and I've got the cases just bolted together some. I've done more cleaning on this one than this one. I'm going to smooth it out pretty good. Not, you know, not perfect, but pretty decent. And you know, that's just, it is what it is. I could have swapped sand, you know, done more work, and you know, I could have spent the next 6 months on it if I wanted to try to get it to look like a die casting. But you know, this is a sand casting, so excuse me. So it is what it is. But they, you know, they line up good. There's going to be no problem there. And you know, one of the reasons I was worried about this piece is this is where our lifters have got to come down through. There'll probably be steel bores, and then the lifters will run into steel bores. I'll machine all that out, so that's not a problem. And it's moving right along though. And you know, like I said, just got more cleanup to do. I haven't really cleaned up any on this, you know, on the edge of that one. And this one, you know, I've got quite a bit done. You can see it's not shining as much as the other one. I guess once you get it smooth and you handle it some, especially with my dirty hands, it does that. But let me grab the cylinder and set on there, and that'll give you an idea of what this thing's going to look like. Okay, maybe you can see that. There we go. Block that light. Anyway, that's basically what it's going to look like. This will be countersink in, bolted in. Our lifters will come, or push rods will come down to our lifters. Should work out just fine. Everything so far is coming right along, and like I said, you know, this is not the cylinder I'm using. I've actually started cleaning the other cylinder up, but this will get taken off. I want these push rods to be open like the old engines, but I think it'll come out, you know, a little cleaning around the letters and stuff to make it look a little bit better, and you know, smoothing out on the block itself. And like I said, if we run into any more of that, we'll you know, there's a solution for the problem. And I couldn't find any more. I mean, I actually machined the surface up top looking for some, and couldn't find any at all. So I you know, we'll just have to see how it goes. I don't like it, but like I said, it's not very deep. It's let me see. I had something I was using there. Yeah, it's not deep at all. I mean, I could put JB weld in it, but I mean, that's not a fix. It's just a, you know, it's just something to fill the hole. But you know, my main thing is my lifter bores. I don't want anything to be, you know, in the way. And the lifter bores can actually have plates on them and come over and have bolts that hold them down in. And if we do that, we don't have to depend on, you know, pressing it in or anything like that. So and I could actually make one wide one, you know, with them on it, machine it out. This surface will be machined when I'm done. Of course, you know, the top surface, and the cams, of course, you know, they go in up here. So anyway, the cams will go in. Like I said, you know, these are going to be wider really than what I wanted because of the rockers, but we may do a little rocker changing on it, a little work on that. You know, the whole thing is you know, a rocker's just a lever point to open the valve up. So you know, we can play with that a little bit if we need to. We'll make it right. It'll be right when we're done for sure. Or we'll melt it down and start over. All right. Well, hopefully I can get me a fly cutter or a shell mill, whatever you want to call it, to do the surface with. Because remember that all of this that I've done is just, you know, to get measurements. This is not any finished work whatsoever. I just went far enough to be able to, well, except on this side where I was chasing that, I went a little bit more, but I was just trying to find any issues, you know, in that, but I need good measurement, good places to measure from, because, you know, you don't want to mess this up and keep from it. And I'm not doing it on paper. I'm just doing it, you know, in my head. So, you know, there's, you do it as you go. And so there'll be some finished milling when I'm done, you know, when I get all my measurements. So I need a R8 boring head. I need an R8. I really need an R8 chuck. And I need shell mill of some kind, or fly cutter. So if anybody's got it used and they want to sell, you know, let me know. I'm going to look on eBay, but you know, most of that stuff goes pretty high on eBay. But I can order this stuff from Hong Kong, but daggone, you got to wait and wait and wait. So, and then if you buy it here, it's probably made in Hong Kong, and that's just what you end up with. All right, well, you can see what she's going to look like anyway, and we'll keep at it. I'll get it eventually, but just bear with me. All right, appreciate everybody watching, and till next time, bye.